Destruction is the name of the game in this episode, as we look at the basics on the many Transformers who have shared the name BONECRUSHER. The toy that would become the original BONECRUSHER was first released in the Japanese toy line Diaclone in 1983. It was one of the Construction Robo, 6 robots who transformed into construction vehicles and who could combine into one giant super robot. These 6 figures were imported by Hasbro to become part of the second year of the Transformers toy line in 1985, for which they were released as the Decepticon Master Builders, the Constructicons. BONECRUSHER transformed into a bulldozer. He was armed with a drill-shaped missile launcher, with which he combined to form the left arm of the team's united robot form, Devastator. Marvel Comics writer Bob Budiansky penned a character profile for BONECRUSHER, assigning him the role of the Constructicon's demolitions expert. It was work BONECRUSHER thoroughly enjoyed. Strong, tough, but not too bright, his mission in life was to reduce everything around him to rubble, and he took great pleasure showing off his wild, destructive skills for his teammates. BONECRUSHER appeared with the rest of the Constructicons in lots of classic Transformers media, most prominently the original cartoon, the Marvel comic book, and their various sequels and spin-offs. But like a lot of Combiner team members, he didn't really stand out from the rest of his group. He was just part of the team, working on their construction projects and eagerly unleashing his talent for destruction on the Autobots, either as an individual or combined with his comrades as Devastator. Check out the basics on the Constructicons for the full story on the team. Perhaps BONECRUSHER's biggest individual contribution to Transformers lore was in 1986's The Transformers the Movie, when he proposed that the Decepticons dump their wounded warriors into space. A key moment in the film's story that led to the injured bots being found and turned into servants of the monster planet Unicron. The Constructicon toys were discontinued in 1987, but in 1992, BONECRUSHER and his buddies were reissued in the European and Australasian markets, now coloured yellow instead of green, and without the accessories needed to combine them into Devastator. They were re-released again a year later, this time complete with all parts, in 1993's Generation 2 toy line, available in both yellow and orange colour schemes. After Generation 2, Hasbro began recycling BONECRUSHER's name, keeping their trademark on it active by repeatedly reusing it for multiple new characters, who, like the original, were all generally tough guys with a talent for destruction. The first of these new BONECRUSHERs was a heroic Maximal, released in the Beast Wars toy line in 1997. A strong and stubborn infantry soldier with a missile launcher in his mouth and a one-track mind focused only on fighting, who transformed into an American buffalo. This BONECRUSHER didn't appear in the Beast Wars cartoon, but in the 21st century he did feature in comic books from IDW Publishing, one of a band of newly activated Maximals battling the Predacons on prehistoric Earth. In the Japanese market, meanwhile, this toy was released as a separate character named Bighorn. Bighorn was part of the main Maximal cast of the Beast Wars 2nd animated series. He had the same basic personality as BONECRUSHER, a headstrong hero so volatile that even the sight of a red flower could send him into a fighting frenzy. Though he did have a gentler side, with several episodes focusing on his attempts to win the heart of his unrequited crush, the Seacon space pirate, Scylla. The BONECRUSHER introduced in 2002's Transformers Armada was one of the tiny robots known as Minicons. He converted into a missile launcher truck and was characterized as a simple bruiser who enjoyed busting heads and who rarely spoke. BONECRUSHER was a member of the Land Military Minicon team and made a handful of appearances alongside teammates Knockout and Wreckage in both the Armada cartoon and comic book, overcoming their fear and hesitation to help the Autobots battle the Decepticons. The most significant of these new Bonecrushers was the Decepticon, introduced in 2007's live-action movie. Like the Beast Wars character, he transformed into a buffalo. A buffalo mine-protected clearance vehicle, that is. A type of armoured military vehicle fitted with a robotic claw arm for disabling landmines. This Bonecrusher's personality was defined by hatred. He hated everyone and everything, and what he hated, he tried to destroy. It was only fear of Megatron that kept him from turning on his fellow Decepticons and unleashing his rage on them. Bonecrusher even hated himself, loathing his misshapen robot mode and how it reflected the inner ugliness he knew lay within his spark. Bonecrusher took center stage in one of the film's most memorable action sequences, explosively crashing through a moving bus to battle Optimus Prime on a Nevada highway. The fight itself ultimately proved to be a short one, ending when the Autobot leader cut Bonecrusher's head off. But the scene was prominently showcased in multiple trailers and TV spots for the film, ensuring that Bonecrusher's big screen brawl would be well remembered. Now, despite the character's on-screen death, the filmmakers chose to briefly reuse both the Buffalo vehicle and Bonecrusher's robot mode CGI model as part of the Decepticon army seen in the movie's 2009 sequel, Revenge of the Fallen. Fans were left to conclude that this must be a generic Decepticon who just happened to have the same form as Bonecrusher, but maybe not. You see, the character profiles included with several of the many Bonecrusher toys that have been released over the years continued his story after the first movie, stating that he had somehow survived his decapitation and went into hiding in the Amazon jungle to recuperate, before re-emerging around the time of the sequel. So maybe that was just a generic bot, or maybe it really was Bonecrusher back in action. Further adding to Movieverse Bonecrusher's unique legacy, director Michael Bay named one of his English Mastiff dogs after the character, and even put him in the movies. Bonecrusher the dog appeared in both Revenge of the Fallen and 2011's Dark of the Moon as a pet owned by the Autobots' human allies, Michaela Baines and Sam Witwicky. Now, these are just the most distinctive, most different bots to bear the Bonecrusher name. But there are others a lot more like the original. Multiple new incarnations of the Constructicons have been featured in various different Transformers series over the years, and like the classic team, they almost all have a Bonecrusher among their ranks. The live-action movies are the major exception, since a character named Bonecrusher already existed in that universe. When the Movieverse Constructicons were introduced in Revenge of the Fallen, his usual spot on the team was taken by a new bulldozer bot named Rampage. And of course, the original Bonecrusher hasn't been forgotten, as the 21st century has seen him continue to reliably appear with his fellow Constructicons in everything from comic books, including stories from all major Transformers publishers like Dreamwave Productions, IDW, and Skybound, to video games like 2015's Transformers Devastation. The 2012 Japanese toy line, United EX, even introduced Bonecrusher's younger brother, Gravedigger, a fellow bulldozer with a violent temper that made him unsuited to joining Bonecrusher in construction work. And naturally, Bonecrusher has enjoyed new toys of his own, with brand new, fully combining sets of all 6 Constructicons released in 2015's Combiner Wars, and most recently, the Studio Series line in 2025. But whatever Transformers universe you find yourself in, if you need something broken down, beaten up, or just blown to bits, there's no bones about it. The brute called Bonecrusher is the bot for the job. And those are the basics on Bonecrusher. Which one did you first encounter, and which is your favourite? After you've left your answer in the comments, throw me a bone, subscribe for more history and lore from the world of the Transformers, and if you can, support the show on Patreon for early ad-free access to new videos.